Hello and welcome to this webinar entitled Distance and Internet Selling, the Rules and Regulations with me, Keith Markham. As always, let's begin with a review of the agenda. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously define what we mean by a distance contract. That's an important definition that's been in our consumer law for a number of years, and we need to just be clear what is actually included and what isn't included. Having established what a distance contract is and what is included and not included, we'll then go on to talk about, effectively, that there are requirements for the provision of information, both pre and post-contract. And we'll see what those requirements are and look at what the consequences will be if it turns out that you didn't comply with that, if you were a trader. After that, we'll then go on to talk about time periods for delivery of goods. So we'll see there's a very specific period, classically about 30 days from contract conclusion, albeit, as we will be looking later on, we can extend this to longer periods of time in certain circumstances. However, the real meat of this particular set of regulations is with regard to the cancellation procedures, which we'll be spending a lot of time on. You may be familiar with a kind of classic headline figure of 14 days for sort of cooling off period that consumers have. Be aware, though, it's really important to note that that can be extended by up to a year in certain circumstances. So we'll look at all of the rules on that. We'll look at what happens when cancellation takes place and so on. And then finally, we'll look at the impact of this. So the Digital Markets Competition and Consumers Act 2024, at the date of recording, has now passed through Parliament, is now on the books, if you like, and is going to come into force sometime late 2024, early 25. And essentially, it makes radical changes in terms of consumer law enforcement, including in this area, hence why we will briefly touch on it at the end. Right, against that background, let's then proceed to talk about the regulations themselves and key things. So the full name of the regulations we're going to be talking about today is the Consumer Contracts, Information, Cancellation and Additional Charges Regulations 2013. I will call these, for shorthand, the Distance Selling Regulations, which is historically what they were called when they were first created back in the year 2000.